dun, 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 dun. I just want to hear that a little bit more.
The building blocks of Anthony Johnson's dreams.
So much emotion in the strings, so much perkiness and peppiness in the wind.
Live in the tone. The chords. The symphony of sound. He says the rhythm of musical notes spoke to him well before words, helped him to understand emotion in movies.
The music was able to communicate that story that words and visuals couldn't at the time. Music can communicate things, and that's the kind of storytelling that I want to engage in.
So he followed that path, that story, to the halls of Berklee College of Music. But in 2021, his sophomore year, his hearing began to change.
I was having a lot of tinnitus, a lot of ringing in my ears, like on this ear, and sometimes it would just start, and it was very, very, very alarming.
He went to a specialist at Tufts Medical Center in Boston.
He had a very mild hearing loss in those frequencies and kind of corresponding to what he was hearing. Just a slight change in his hearing test, most people wouldn't notice.
Dr. Catherine Noonan ordered an MRI.
And I saw it in my inbox and just my heart broke, because he was this kid whose whole life and whole career was to do music and to compose and things that needed two good ears. A really hard news to give this young, bright kid.
I get a call over winter break saying, okay, Anthony, you have a benign tumor.
A rare benign tumor known as an acoustic neuroma in his right ear. It threatened his passion, his purpose, and the future he was so certain was his.
I was terrified. I was really terrified. I wasn't really talking to anybody about it.
He decided to wait and see how the tumor would progress. Unfortunately, it grew quickly. In June of 2022, Dr. Carl Heilman, a Tufts neurosurgeon, would lead the first surgery in an attempt to remove the tumor.
Well, we decided to do what's called a middle fossa approach, which is an incision in front of the ear. But basically, the way his tumor was stuck to the various nerves and its extension, we decided during that surgery, if we took the whole tumor out, he would end up deaf. And so it was a tough decision.
With only a portion removed, they would wait and see again. But his world, full of vibrant sound, remained silent at a time when he was just beginning to write the score of his own life.
I can't mix if I'm not hearing in stereo. I need to be able to hear what instrument's coming from the left, what instrument's coming from the right.
A second surgery meant the risk of losing his hearing completely. Without it, he definitely would.
Usually a reoperation is almost never successful at saving hearing. But we could tell by the growth rate of his tumor and the fact that his hearing kept dipping down that he was going to be deaf if we didn't take a shot, and so that's why we decided to go ahead.
Doctors say that second surgery had a less than 5% chance of success, but Anthony, fittingly, woke to a chorus of sound.
I'm doing so much better.
I heard just the room, and it's like, eep, eep. I could hear like all the tech, I could hear the room. It was like a symphony of hospital noise, and it was the most beautiful thing. My tears were actually tears of joy before I said, I can hear!
And compose this piece about his journey from sorrow to hope.
Okay, clearly this was a miracle. I'm certain it's a miracle. I'm certain of it.
So what does your song sound like now?
Oh my goodness, that's a really cool question. Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da.
It's an incredible story, and Anthony's on schedule to graduate in May. He'll graduate having composed scores for 18 short films and some video games. Just got a nomination for Best Original Score as well at a film festival.
We love hearing that. He's still recovering. The surgery was a success, and he says there are some side effects, but that's nothing, he says, compared to losing his hearing and possibly having his dreams derailed.
Yeah, and Good on the doctors for doing what they did. Up next, a new approach to treating lupus.